afternoon. This is a great big topic, and so I expect to get to some points of things today, but not the whole of it. I hope, though, that you will take this as an invitation to continue the dialogue, to pull up in your own world what is it that needs to be addressed. And that is part of the nature of the problem. That abuse is so prevalent for all of us, and there are so many forms of abuse. And beyond that, part of the problem is that it is different for every person. And so the first place here is actually to acknowledge what has been going on for you. What is your truth? What is your reality? Because the things that have hurt you, the things that have shaped you, are the things that only you truly know about. And the denial of those pains is actually another form of abuse. Keeping everything shut up tight, keeping it to yourself, remaining silent, and giving up your voice is often necessary. It's often a part of the trauma that happens. And then we learn to contract, to be very small, to be very quiet. And especially if you live with an abuser, you learn to mirror and mimic their moods and behaviors to try and be safe, to try to anticipate. So, please, within yourself, notice how you are actually feeling. And it can be the form of writing and journaling. There have been times over the years where I was writing out a sentence and then I wrote something I didn't expect to say. And I got to read it. And the step beyond the writing is actually the speaking. When you are willing to voice into the world for your own ears to hear. Do not start with confronting your abusers. Do not start with trying to change society. Begin with the acknowledgement for yourself. Sometimes that's crying. Sometimes it's screaming. It's a little bit like a backlog on a printer that when you plug it in, you might find there's a whole bunch of stuff right there that was never expressed, and your body remembers. And that is one of the primary reasons to please do this work of acknowledging and bringing forth what has been trapped within you so that it no longer is a burden for your body. Later, you will find that there are many other people without a voice. There are many people suffering in many, many ways. And if you have taken the time to be present with yourself, to honor your story and your journey, it is so much easier to be present with someone else, to witness their pain and hold space so that they actually feel safe to show up, to do the same process. So reclaiming your voice, yes, it is for you. And because this is something perpetuated in so many ways, reclaiming your voice is also very much for the children. I would love to see that all of this changes. That because we are connected and because we are willing to speak, because we are willing to be seen, to be known, I'm not inviting you to wear labels, to identify yourself as perpetually forever the victim. but to acknowledge it as a place so that then you can move on from there. It requires lowering barriers, identifying and releasing walls that were triggered in a moment and maintained over years. It is a process, and it requires choosing over and over and over again. But if you will, play with opening space. And it can be for any number of anything on different days. Today I open the space to know what you need to hear. Some other times I open the space to be an angel oracle. Other days I open the space to be the best mom I can be. Sometimes I open the space to create, to be an artist. Whatever it is for you, speak it aloud. I open the space for this. I'm willing to find out. And then breathe. So much of what we have learned as victims is to be very still, to be very silent, to hold our breaths, maybe even to play dead. And while that can be necessary, most of us are no longer being abused. We have grown up. We have moved away. And we really could stand up. We could take up more space in our own lives, in our own homes. We could be a bigger presence. You could find your feet on the floor and wiggle your toes. That's actually one of the simplest tools to pull you out of anxiety and fear, is to remember that you have feet and put them on the floor. Because that sensation of your feet on the floor and having traction lets you know that you could get up and leave if you needed to. As someone who had been abused, I learned to curl up in a tiny little ball. And I spent years sitting with my feet up underneath me on the chair, being non-threatening, being small. So put your feet on the floor. Feel the texture. Remember that you have feet. And there are other movements. There are postures you can do with your body that open your lungs and give you space to take a deep breath and give you space to feel how you feel. Sorry, there's a microphone there. This is resolution for your own sake. You being here, you already chose to survive whatever it is you have been through. You already made the choice to not let it kill you. I'm asking you to go one step further and make the choice to come alive, to come back to the vitality that left you. To choose it, to grow it, to nurture it. Because voicing the words, voicing the sounds is first for your own ears. Pay attention though, as you are speaking. Are you saying what you wanted to say? Are you reciting the things that your abuser said to you? Notice your vocabulary. Notice your internal dialogue and those little things that just play in the background, because they will also need to go. First, they must be recognized. And it can be very enlightening to write them out on a piece of paper, the thing that has been running in your head, because when it goes out and you see it again, you realize how ridiculous it is, and you realize that you would never, ever say that to another person. And you can choose to stop saying it to yourself. In all of this, I open the space and I invite you to be more kind and more patient than anything you have ever experienced from someone else. We have all these signs for construction. Please pardon our dust. We have this awareness when there are physical things moving and changing. It's time for us to have that awareness of the emotional overhaul, to be willing to say, I need a minute. I'm doing my work. I'm processing something. To say, I need a hug. To say, no, I don't want to tell you what I'm going through. Just come sit with me. And that is another part of this, to identify who are the safe people. It can be dangerous. We all know it's easy to pick up a new abuser, to fall into the same trap again because it is so familiar. But there are people. Watch. Ask your body to show you and teach you to know, to come alive when someone is nearby who could assist you on your path. It is your path. It is your journey. It is for you to identify. It is for you to shape. I could share with you a lot of what has worked for me. In fact, the thing that I am providing, the package, is a lot of resources for how to use something called emotional freedom technique, because it is one of those modalities. Although it's nice to do it with a practitioner, it is something you can do in the middle of the night. It is something you can do wherever you are and whatever is going on. And it is one of the first things that let me feel that I could actually change my reality, that I had a choice in the matter, to not just run the programs I'd been handed, to not just duplicate again the lives of my family members that weren't working for them either, but to actually create what works for me. A part of that, though, as you are a work in progress, is reassessment. To again and again and again notice what's going on with you. Ask more questions. What do I require right now? Who could assist me with this? Who would hold space? And again, the next day, the next week, now what? Now what do I require? There will be people that fall away. There will be people who do not wish to change things with you. There will be many people who doubt and question and even show anger when you start to change patterns. Love them anyway. The invitation here now is to love yourself, to choose your health and well-being, and to teach everyone around you how to treat you. Because they were not shown. You have seen that they do not know what a healthy relationship looks like. They have demonstrated that they do not know what kindness and decency is. Acknowledge the places where you have been programmed with malware. It can be uninstalled. And as you are doing that, be mindful. There will be more layers that come up, and you will have the choice again. Am I going to be stopped? Am I going to give up? Even if you do, even if for a week or a month you fall back into being resigned, it is there for you to choose again. As soon as you remember for a second to take a breath and put your feet on the floor, to remember that you have traction and you can get up and walk and you can move yourself figuratively, emotionally, mentally, physically into a new space. Your body loves you. Oh my goodness. I have done so much work over the years to heal my own life and heal my own body, and I have become a practitioner and facilitate other people. Your body loves you. Your body does not blame you for what you have been through. In fact, your body is the only one that has been with you through all of your experiences. And it is possible for you to have a relationship with your body, to have communion, to have co-creation, to have ease and peace with embodiment. Here again, it's a thing for you to choose, for you to create, for you to invest in. And so, as much as I would love to just hand you everything I've learned, all of this is uniquely you, is uniquely yours. And your starting place is likely not where I started. Keep asking questions. Keep reaching out. Keep inviting. Even if it is just energetically to say, my team, I'd like to know that you're there. My team of helpers, guides, guardians, angels, the ones I often doubt because I did not feel safe as a child. I would like to know that you're there for me. I open space, and I am willing now to find out how to work with my team. So even if you are only calling for assistance energetically, it is still opening a space for change. It is still opening a possibility that you can have a creation. Now is the question, what are you willing to work for? It's not an easy path, nor is it easy to remain in your pain, nor has it been easy to remain stagnant and small, shattered, crushed by the abusers. It is not a simple and easy thing to dynamically change your life, so choose. What is worth my investment? What would I love to have as my life? What image of my future is so joyful that the idea of it brings a smile? And then you make questions. You make choices that are in alignment with that target. Choose something that will pull you into the creation of a life worth living. There was a long time I spent hurt, angry, so angry, and feeling helpless because I didn't think I could ever express everything I needed to express, and I knew I could not change my primary abuser. And so I resisted, I reacted, I rejected all of who he was and who he is. And I maintained myself as a shell of a person, even though he'd moved on to other people. And there was a point when I realized keeping all of that was hurting me, was doing nothing for him. And I know you've heard it before. Holding a grudge is like eating poison and hoping the other person will die. It's time to notice all the places you are punishing and abusing yourself because someone else mistreated you. It is time to acknowledge what you have accomplished. And you can start with, I didn't die. I did not kill myself. Even with all the times all those people told me, boy, your life sucks. The only way out would be to die. Acknowledge what you have chosen. Acknowledge what you have accomplished. You might even get a piece of paper and write down, I have successfully gotten dressed. I have successfully brushed my teeth. I have successfully. And the more ridiculous it seems, hopefully, the more it will make you laugh. And the more it will bring you back to who you are. And who you are has nothing to do with how they treated you. If you had not been there, they would have abused someone else. I invite you to become more of you. More of the brilliance, more of the sparkle, more of the energy that was there when you were tiny. More of the adventure and curiosity. To remember yourself. To be the bright light, to be the sparkly, joyful friend that someone is looking for. There are a lot of autopilot things. Unfortunately, fortunately, a lot of us, that's how we drive our car. That's how we just check out and allow life to happen. I know a lot of us were raised with parents who were not really present. They all have their reasons why they were too stressed, out of money, out of time, and they did not have emotional or physical resources to invest in their children. And so we learn very young to disconnect, to go on autopilot, to say, nope, I'm fine, especially when I'm not. And that's one of the autopilots I invite you to notice first. Is when someone says, hi, how are you? Do you automatically, oh, I'm good, thanks. Or do you say, you know what, I'm having a really weird day. And not expect them to stop everything and be there for you, but to speak the words for your own ears to hear, to acknowledge what's going on with you, so that you can choose something else and you can change it. I was on the way to an appointment with someone one day, and this one happened to be an appointment for me from her. And so I was trying to think, okay, what am I going to tell her? What do I need help with today? And I was listing my stuff, and I'm like, wait. So before I even got to her office, if somebody just told me all that stuff, I would invite them to stop. Take a breath. Find their feet on the floor. Yes, acknowledge those things that had happened, the way those people had been, and that it had triggered you into a state. And now what are you going to do about it? Are you going to change it? Or are you going to allow it to dominate the rest of your day, or your week, or your month? And so it was really awesome that day when it occurred to me to ask myself the questions that I ask of other people. And then remember that I have tools. The way I facilitate other people, I have essential oils. Essential oils are amazing for changing your state. They override mental, emotional, even chemical, hormonal states. They are powerful. One of my children is because I was using jasmine and threw off my cycle, and there's a whole nother. There are so many tools. Please open the files and learn more about tapping. Emotional freedom technique, whether you watch the videos I've created or you look up and watch any of the thousands of others out there, it really is a dynamic way to take charge of what's going on with you. And now I'm going to read you a quote. It's actually from one of my brothers. You, only you, can take back your voice from those who would presume to speak on your behalf. Only you can decide whether or when you have had enough dysfunction and are ready to demand meaningful change. Only you can tell the rest of us what you want it to look like. Thank you for being brave enough to come in here on this topic that is not so much fun. I hope you will choose to have people who support you. Choose to ask questions. Choose to ask for more. What is possible here, especially if you have an inkling, an idea in your being that you could be doing more with yourself. I suffered from anxiety attacks. I used to have quite a lot of panic. There is no way I would have stood and talked to people. There is no way I would have volunteered to teach classes. Because I thought I knew, that I was broken, that I was wrong, that I was the one who had created the abuse. And I was wrong. Along the way, be willing to be wrong. Be willing to ask, what else could this mean? I am an oracle. I am a facilitator. I offer classes. I offer private sessions. But more than that, I would be happy to be your cheerleader, and I'm happy to hear what you're finding, who you are finding to assist you along your way. I'm so proud of all of you. Thank you, thank you. Are there any questions? Deep breath. I do have several events coming up. Please find me on Facebook. Katherine Hacking Professional is my business page. As soon as tomorrow, I'll be at a psychic fair. Tuesday, I'm doing a sound healing event. On the 17th, I'm doing a full day overhaul, teach you the actual tools for creating your future. And beyond that, we have a whole bunch of tapping groups in December for releasing your past and embracing your future. And on it goes, because I am happy to create and to add classes wherever they fit. And keep breathing. Thank you.